The night has come, it's cold and losing my control. Your light is gone, and lonely darkness fill my soul. I wish that you could save me from my isolation. It's way too complicated. Let's start this conversation. Let's start this conversation. We got no relation.
Are you ready to explore the unknown? Dive into the world of the strange, mysterious, and unexplained with Eerie Expeditions magazine. Each issue is packed with spine-tingling tales, cutting-edge paranormal investigations, and exclusive insights into hauntings, cryptids, UFOs, and more. Whether you're a seasoned investigator or just love a good ghost story, Eerie Expeditions magazine has something for you. Join our growing community of truth seekers and adventure lovers. Subscribe today at EerieExpeditionsMagazine.com and unlock the secrets of the supernatural. Are you ready? That's EerieExpeditionsMagazine.com, where the extraordinary is just a click away. Dare to discover.
This is the United Public Radio Network, 107.7 FM in New Orleans and 105.3 in the Gulf Coast. UPRN talkradio.com. Esoteric programming at its finest.
Our symbol, the trident, gifted to us by the priests of Troy Xenos centuries ago when one of the first monster hunting teams out of Corinth battled a contingent of Vrykolakas that had infested their temple. After the victory over the monsters, the head priest declared, "You are three lances acting as one, not unlike Poseidon's mighty trident of light. That would become our name, the Trident of Light, for the good we did and still do against the dark evils of this world."
Available at Amazon Books.
The Power Agency is built for those who move like predators, decide like weapons, and execute like their life depends on it. You're either fully in, or you're invisible.
You're listening to UFO Undercover with your host, Joe Montaldo, right here on the Paranormal Radio Network.
I had enough.
Well, you drove out there into the middle of nowhere and had some sort of loud verbal display challenging ET in general out in the middle of nowhere?
That's what I was doing. I actually had a pistol in my hand at the time. I was really ticked off. When I was having this fit, I was waving the gun in the air, okay, and I had this fit. And at this moment, I said, okay.
He was a Louisiana man named Montaldo. Folks around called him Six Gun Joe. Worked with ICAR, don't you know? Investigating UFOs. Out for a drive with a gal one night, they stopped to check out the reporting site. When an alien lit right there on the ground, he commenced to throwing his weight around. Now, old Six Gun didn't take too kindly to that kind of thing, especially without Vaseline or anything like that, Seriously. Well, Six Gun looked that critter right in the eye and said, "Any last wish before you die?" Yo, reached for his gun, quick as a twitch, and said, "Fill your claw, you son of a bitch." Now a legend spread across the land about this pistol-waving man. But if you're from space or from Earth below, you don't give no lip to Six Gun Joe.
Welcome, everyone, to UFO Undercover. Hope everyone's having a great morning, great evening, great afternoon, wherever you are on our big, beautiful blue planet. It's a little rainy down here where I'm at.
That's awfully bright back there. I'm going to go turn that off. I was trying to highlight my new painting, but it looks like the wall's on fire.
Yeah, see, Jay's burning his house up while we're talking here. I don't know. He's on that crack again, man. We got to watch him when he gets on that crack. But anyway, welcome everyone to UFO Undercover. I hope y'all really are having a good day. For the United States, it's anywhere from 4 to 7 p.m. Yeah, 4 to 7 p.m. For our friends down in Australia, it's a bit. Well, actually, it's Thursday for them. I think it's a little later than it. It's somewhere. Now, they got 4 time zones too, so it gets a little screwy down there. Even though actually they have 4 time zones down there, so it gets a little screwy. What's that? You know what? Look, Six Gun Joe. Yeah, this is the one they're talking about right here. No, they're not talking about Martha. Martha is in the other room where she belongs because she's a beast. This is the one he's singing about in the song, and this isn't 6 gun either. This is, I think, this is more like 9 or 10 gun, give or take. What clip I have in it, but still. This is the one I was waving around in the air like a madman. I was like, I had the gun waving all over the place. And I was pissed that night when I was out in the swamp. I was seriously pissed. I had enough of this shit. Just dragging me around, showing me this, showing me that. Like, you people. If you're not going to let me see what I want to see, get the hell out and leave me alone. Well, you should never ask. Sometimes you get what you want, so you better be careful there. No, we got a lot of stuff we're going to cross tonight. Hey, Heidi, I just seen you in there.
Before we get into anything, one of my coworkers asked me about a UFO crash in West Virginia, and I was racking my brain. I hadn't had a chance to look it up, so I was going to ask you, and then maybe we do some looking up here.
Well, Michelle had sent me this thing about.
My mind was that the fighter pilot in like 53, 54, and I believe he flew out of Tennessee, but it might have been for a UFO over West Virginia. I don't remember the exact story, but this fighter pilot was sent out in an F-89 Saberjet, which at the time was our fastest level 1 fighter jet, but it was our fastest and most equipped fighter. And he was shot down. They found his plane that afternoon, but they didn't find him for like 3 or 4 days or maybe a week. But when they found his body, it was cattle mutilated. Like the lips were gone, the tongue was missing, most of his mucous membranes were gone, genitals, and some of his internal organs. So really, really strange. But I don't know if you know about either one of those two incidents.
Well, so there's been about 2 things that I would consider cattle mutilated in on our side of the Mississippi River is what I should say, on the eastern side of the Mississippi River. And what I really think is, I think that was done more for us, because I got something to tell you later on when we get in the show about that very subject. I think that was more done to keep the theory alive that it's extraterrestrials. I think because there's some stuff going on that made people start being, maybe it's not what. So when you put up, it keeps coming up to Flatwood Monster. When you type in crash UFO in West Virginia, it keeps coming up to Flatwood Monster. Well, that's not having anything to do with what we're talking about.
Yeah,
it's 1952. It says terrified kids, but other than that, there's not really anything coming up. They got the cities with the most UFO sightings in West Virginia, but that's none of which we're looking for. West Virginia is ground zero for UFO research. No, that's bullshit. West Virginia, I don't want to hate on y'all because I got a lot of friends up there, but you're not ground zero for. You're not even probably in the top 20 as far as sightings go. That's more for coastal cities. Inner cities don't really see as many UFOs as coastal cities do, and there's a lot of reasons why. But and then of course there's like America's Secret UFO Past uncovered, but there's nothing really that stands out. See, like the cases, the 2 we brought up just now, they're not even showing them.
Yeah, I'm getting the same thing you are. The Flatwoods Monster in UFO crash for the 50s in West Virginia. So
that's what Wiki's giving you too.
Yeah, I'm thinking the story is related to the UFO over Tennessee. Maybe it started over West Virginia. I'm not sure, but I was thinking that what happened was more like the Star Trek episode where they try to put the grappling hooks on the plane and they destroy it and they bring the pilot on board and they have to go back through time and redeposit all of the people back in the Earth.
Maybe.
I was thinking maybe that's what happened. They took him off of the plane crashed, and then they set him back down, and then he was MILAB'd, and they cattle mutilated him for suspicion of radiation.
It sounds more like, if I had to pin this, I'd say this was human on human. I hate saying that, but it's okay to put this in perspective. So there was the Brazilian cases where humans were being mutilated. Well, they found out later on it was human on human, but also down there they had cattle mutilations, and they kept saying, "Oh, look, we got cattle mutilations in Brazil." Well, come to find out, this general was collecting on the insurance on him. That's what he was doing. He was collecting an insurance on him. And then they found a bunch of cattle mutilated parts inside, one of the big water tanks. It was full of parts.
Wow.
So yeah, that was human on cow. So a lot of times these cases turn out to be that, but the press doesn't give that any coverage. All they want to hear is not Virginia, not Brazil. What's the country way down there at the bottom of South America? close up against the coast.
There's Bolivia, Argentina goes all the way down to the bottom.
Yeah, so it's the one on the coast, on the Pacific coast. Oh hell, I can't remember the name of it.
Not Colombia.
It's a big one because it stretches from the bottom way out.
Brazil.
No, it's not Brazil. Brazil's an inland country. There's two of them side by side. There's Argentina, and then there's one next to Argentina, and they're side by side. And for some reason, for the life of me, I can't think of the other one. Costa Rica's cool, but that's not what it is. I'd have to get
Argentina and Chile are the two that go to the bottom.
Well, I guess I'd have to look at the map. But anyway,
I'm looking at the map. Yeah, it's Argentina on the Pacific, and Chile goes all the way to the bottom on both the Pacific and the Atlantic.
So one of the countries down there were having these problems, and they were finding all these human mutilations. It was freaking people out. You know, they were finding there was a base nearby, and actually, at one point there was a U.S. base down there, but now they're not friendly to the U.S. anymore. But there was a U.S. base down there, and they said the U.S. was doing it. They were finding these people. So then we found out that some of these people they were finding were actually advanced scientists in a couple of different areas. There was human on human. So far, there hasn't been anything that we would consider alien on human. It's all been human on human. But it doesn't matter because the media instantly goes, "Oh, it's the aliens! It's the aliens!" No, it's not the aliens. See, that's the whole effing problem with ufology today. They don't even do any research. It reminds me, you know what? It reminds me a lot of our politics today. They just don't bother doing any research. They just go with what some idiot said, and that's it. And that's just how it's going to be.
They hear a rumor. They see a post on Facebook that goes viral or whatever.
Oh well, you know,
they don't back it up by looking into it.
I've been warning people. As soon as this shit with my head finishes its little course, I'm coming unglued on ufology. They might as well just get ready. I've already tore up a bunch of them. Hell, I've been tearing up politicians for. Here's one for you. I shouldn't even bring this up in the show. It's really a Friday thing, but the Rolling Stones put out. I'm not going to get any deep. Rolling Stones put out this big poll. Anyway, and they had Trump barely ahead of the Democrats. So I ripped them a new, you know what, you know how I am. And then they threatened to sue me because I was tearing them up on the United Party. I said, sure, bring me to court. I'd love it. I said, I can prove right now why. Blah, blah, blah. So I tore them up some more. And guess what they did? They retracted the poll. It's like, what's the matter, man? Why did you retract your poll? Anyway, enough of that. We'll talk about that on Friday. But still, it's been kind of crazy with all the stuff going on, and ufology. Okay, wait, is this? Let's see, Leah. Hey guys, I'm Leah. With the next 45 minutes. Yeah, Leah. Well, take your time and come on in when you can get in. You were here. We're here for 2 hours. But no, Michelle, I got to go find it on my Facebook page. She had sent me something I was interested in earlier, and I had seen it. Oh man, where am I at? I got alligators all over my page and stuff. Yeah, Joe has alligators on the page because he's from the Bayou people. I'm sorry. Okay, this is one. Sounds interesting. Maybe you can address the potential false fly of alien ships being shown as possible upcoming alien attack. Apparently, they're orbiting here. Okay. You see, this shit gets me in trouble. It just gives me more trouble. But we're gonna address this. First off, just so you know, there's a lot of telescopes looking at the sky. It's not like there's no telescopes looking at the sky. There is I can't even put the number out there to you. If you went just in personal telescopes, there's 500,000 looking at the sky. If you went into amateur telescopes, probably a couple of thousand. And if you went into professional, probably a couple of hundred. So the thing being is they're full of stuff. I mean, you're not putting nothing's crossing our skies without being seen. It might be seen too late, but nothing's crossing our skies without being seen. So I seen this false flag operation the other day. I got some new information because of some of the stuff I've been testifying on. But anyway, I got some new information, and they were saying about there's a lot of false flag stuff being put out. Some of it was legit false flag, meaning it was like a MILAB thing from that particular group, Men in Black, whatever you want to call them. And then some of it was just from ufology itself trying to stir something. Because let's be honest, is there anything going on in ufology? Anything?
It's been stagnant. And the false flag things you're talking about, there's been rumors that there was going to be a U.S. MyLabs and or Special Access Program joint false flag operation that would have some true flag operations in it. So it would be a little bit of what they've been doing with the disclosure, a little bit of truth, a little bit of falsehood, and a little bit of conjecture in the middle. And so it all seems plausible, and that's what we're seeing right now. There really is nothing going on in ufology. I mean, there's probably more stuff going on in big.
And Stephanie, don't worry. I might not do it on this show, but we have guests the next couple of shows, and then I've been talking with Thomas Reed. We keep missing each other, but I'm gonna try to get him on. Well, we've got Dolly Saffron coming on next week, and then we have Preston Dennett coming on the week after that. We'll see if we can get Thomas Reed on the week after that and get him pinned down. Then I got to talk to Stephen Bissett about something that happened. But anyway, we're going to start bringing guests on the show for the next couple of months, just to give Jay and I's voice a rest. I mean, we've been working really hard lately. And
I said the other day, we've been doing this 2-3 years straight without breaking on this show.
Yes. So I mean, well, there's a lot to cover, and frankly, there's just so much. So anyway, Stephen Bissett's down in South America right now, right? Looking at some balls. Hey, Christy, how you doing? No, really, no, I'm serious. He's down there looking at some balls. I forgot what they call them.
The spheres. They're like perfectly carved. Is it diorite? I think is what the
anyway, I mean, you can find there's some articles on. I caught one yesterday, and some Green Beret guy was telling him all about it, and I was like, "Oh, okay, he's a Green Beret guy." Okay, people, being I was in Special Forces, I'm gonna tell y'all a little secret. They lie sometimes. Y'all don't remember the witness Stephen Bissett put in front of Congress. The spy witness, the guy who had never had a personal contact. Matter of fact, not only didn't he have a personal contact, he was 2 contacts out of where the person that was talking to him. So in other words, it wouldn't be like, oh, I met Jay and Jay saw a UFO. Oh, no, it'd be like I met Jay and Jay's friend and Jay's other friend then saw. So boom, boom, boom. Then he's talking about, okay, you can't do that. I mean, you just can't do that. There's no real information there. And this is the guy that said we had 71 saucers and 120 something aliens captured because they kept coming through this gate and the ship would just fall over. Now they've been coming here so for a long before we had this kind of technology, and we didn't find any of those crashed anywhere. What the hell is that about?
Well, everything that moves, every mechanical device that travels, eventually fails and or crashes, and that's true even of an advanced species UFO planes. So I think the number is closer to 15, somewhere between 9 and 15 actual craft that we possess from crashes that we either helped instigate or we were assisted with getting.
So let me ask you a question: How many F-22s have crashed?
Well, I would think it's still top secret, but
no, it's not. They told you
there's quite a few of them.
One.
While they were
there was
testing?
187. No, they're talking about nothing coming here is being tested. Anything flying from space is coming here. It's not being tested. This is a craft they've been using for 5, 6, 7,000 years at least, if not longer. So there's been one F-22 that's crashed. And it was pilot error. It wasn't the craft. It was pilot error. So my point being, and when you get into F-35s, there's not been that many either. So my point is, you have a race that's
I thought they called the F-22 the Widowmaker because in the top secret trials, it was killing pilots left and right.
Because when it was being put together, they kept screwing up the software. But these aliens coming here are not in new trial spacecraft. You're not going to fly something across space or through a dimension.
Yeah, true. No, but they would eventually.
And it's not this. And this is the point. So you're missing the point. So they've been here 5,000 to 6,000 years. There've been no crash, anything recovered, none. So why all of a sudden would they start crashing? I don't believe we have any question. The only one I know we have for sure is the one we got from Germany, and I don't think we have any others. Number one, I don't think they would allow us to keep them. And anything as advanced as a great spaceship, it would leave on its own.
As far as I know, the 9 that we have at Papoose Lake, which is Area S4, they have the one from Germany, which is a nuts and bolts craft, not a living spacecraft, not an engineered being. But the 9 craft that they do have there are from various other species, not the Greys, and are all, again, nuts and bolts machines. They're not engineered biological beings that float around and do hyperspace. No, they're just craft.
I would bet you $100 the Greys, reptilians, and humans, there's no crafts that they have here.
Well,
one, because I don't think they would allow us to keep them.
I do kind of tend to believe most of what he is saying is accurate.
Well, I don't think they would allow us to keep them. I can guarantee you, if we had a reptilian craft, they would take it back same day.
I don't believe we have any reptilian craft.
There's only three aliens coming here. There's not no 57 types of aliens. That's all bullshit. It's already been disproven. It's not even a big thing. The only 3 we know, there's only 3 real main styles of craft, and really only 3 main styles of aliens that there's actually proof for. I mean, when you start talking extraterrestrial craft, there's not that many to choose from. I mean, you can go back and look. Bill Wright did a thing, a graft of all the craft there was more than one sided of. There's only like 5 different types, and none of them look like they would come down on planet Earth for any reason. There's no weapon we have that would take them down.
No.
Good evening, gentlemen.
What's happening, Sean?
Hey, cutie pie, what you doing?
No,
Lita said to tell you hi.
Yeah. Do you have pictures of these 3 alien crafts? I never saw them.
Yeah, they're all over the internet. They're literally all over the internet. So the reason we got into this is we know the Greys fly saucers. We know the reptilians fly elongated saucers, and then the big things they keep up in space. And that's the other problem. Think of it this way. They have transporter systems. So Big Mama would fly over and go, whoop, and it would be gone. There's nothing we could do to stop them from retrieving a craft. There's no possible way we would have any craft. The only way a human could have an extraterrestrial craft is if they gave it to us. Now, if you want to flip and go over to the tall whites, they may have gave us some craft. But there's none of the other races letting us keep them. They're too advanced.
Aren't the crafts all based on the same, maybe not the way they look, but the same metal, the same whatever?
No, they're all different.
All
let me put it like this. So you want to know the main reason no alien's going to let us keep a craft? So if they were tinkering around with the reactor system, it blew up, there would be no more Earth. Period. There'd be no more Earth. There'd be nothing left. We'd just be dust. That's the main reason they won't let us keep one of those crafts.
And,
a lot of people say they have them, but
they're like not working. They took the reactors out. The one that is working was
humans didn't take no reactors out. We'd be dead.
The gamers who gifted those craft to us.
Okay, that's different.
Is what I'm thinking, because Bob Lazar, in the time that he was at Area 51, and he wasn't ever at Area 51 for long. He went there, got off the bus, and took another bus to Area S4. The whole time he was there, 1.5 years, 2 years, whatever it was, he noted that there were 9 different bays cut into the mountain, 9 different doors that would go up. That the doors were painted and had rocks on them to look like the side of the mountain. But he only saw the one craft move. So I'm tending to believe that they only have the one that operates. The other 9 are just there for research, design type of, I don't know what, but we can't.
Might have been us building.
Yeah.
Well, we know the tall white is giving us some technology. Was that Sean? I didn't hear you.
Let me play devil's advocate here. Yeah, let me play devil's advocate. All right, on this. Okay. Hey Heidi. So I'm just a guy listening to your show. I don't really know about crafts, and I'm the type of person that says, "Do you have proof that Bob Lazar saw this?" Do you have proof that he actually saw this with his own eyes?
No.
We
Besides
don't
him
have
just writing
corroborating
it down.
evidence in that nature, but we have corroborating evidence that he was there.
As a janitor, though. So
as a
this is the
janitor, but
problem.
still,
Yeah.
his presence was there.
So this is, and he's right. So we know for sure. I'll run through this. There's two different sources of information on this. So a good friend of mine who was working at the WIP facility, who got transferred to Los Alamos Labs, she had full access to all anybody working there. Didn't matter who they were. She basically did the payroll. So when she was at the WIP facility, she told me I had to ask her to look up Bob Lazar, and she said, "Well, it keeps coming up with the code name, whatever it was called. I forgot the damn code now, but it's like S38 something. But anyway, his code rating was that he was a janitor." She said, "That's got to be wrong." So when she got transferred to Los Alamos, I had to look it up again, and it came up the same way. So two different facilities. Now, if y'all haven't seen the show Eureka, janitors on facilities like these aren't like your janitors who are going around, mopping your floors. I mean, they may do that sometimes, but that's not really. They have to have some. First of all, they have to have some amount of clearance, and they have to have some understanding of science to be there, because you can't have your janitor walking around screwing around with something to accidentally blow up Area 51.
Mix the wrong two chemicals.
Yeah, so it's and I'm sure there's other things there that they had to do. So I don't doubt, because, and now that I've talked to her again, I don't doubt that that's what he was. And as far as we know, that might be a code name for something. You never know when you get into these. But regardless, that's what his pay status was. And I gotta tell you what, man, it's pretty good pay. I mean, anyway, we're not going to get into it, but it was pretty decent pay, which kind of made me think of some other things. But so we got that source, and then we got what's his face. I can't think of his name right now. Who said that he had seen him there at Area 51. So, I mean, there's at least two sources we know that put him at Area 51. Now, unfortunately for him, his school records are available, but none of his school records say what he said. He went to high school. He graduated high school. He went to college. None of it was for electronics. None of it was for any of the stuff. And he builds rockets. I've seen him build rockets. He shoots them all the damn time. But, I mean, Jay and I could build rockets too. So, I mean, I'm not going to take that, give him props, but he still did it. So I figure that he was part of a cleanup crew that went around and made sure that these secure facilities were cleaned and proper and were not in the risk of something going boom, boom. Because, when she was working at the WIP facility, they had 7 janitors at the WIP facility. So the WIP facility is where it's a radiation. They keep all kind of nuclear radiation there. Non-military radiation was kept there, like hospital waste and stuff like that.
Yeah,
was kept there. So they had special janitors that worked there. We talked about it in great detail. Matter of fact, she introduced me to one. And he sounded like somebody right out of Eureka. I mean, it really did sound like that when you talked to him. But, he didn't have any fancy degrees. He said he was taught at the place, which makes total sense if you're bringing somebody in. He was taught there. So when we get to Bob Lazar, I think the media wanted to run. Actually, it wasn't even the media as much as it was, what's his name? The reporter at George Knapp. George Knapp said, "I got a good story. Let's run with it." I think he overplayed the story, which hurt him. It didn't hurt Knapp, but he hurt the other boy. So I can't never say he wasn't there, because I mean, I personally know at least two different areas that said he was. It's just they didn't have him listed.
Like you said, with the overplaying of the first story came out in fall of 88 or 89, and they black out Bob Lazar's face, and they didn't really morph his voice out, but it was basically in George Knapp's satellite TV van in the passenger seat where he was sitting. They did that interview, and it ran for like the whole week, like Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, on their new show in Las Vegas, KLAS TV. Ran for all 5 days. Then they played the whole thing again, all at once, like 5-hour interview on that following Saturday, on their Saturday news edition. And then Bob began getting, immediately after that Monday show or one of the shows, he immediately started getting death threats. His immediate supervisor called him the day after the first time they saw the interview and said, "What the hell are you doing? What the hell's wrong with you? We have to fire you now," and all this other kind of stuff. So he got scared for his life. So it was either very next year or just a few months later, they did another full-on like 3-hour interview, all out in the open. No, didn't mask his face, didn't change his voice.
Yeah, because once you're going to go, you're going to go.
Afraid for his life, and then George Knapp ran with that story for the next couple decades, and still is.
Yeah, you can still find
to
it.
keep the man alive.
Can you explain to me why he had death threats? I don't understand why this guy would have death threats.
Well, I mean, he's talking about deep state special access programs that the guys in the control don't want the rest of the population to know about. They don't want the people to know
but,
that.
he did stuff too, like the Grays like strawberry ice cream, and then he went out and bought a brothel. I mean, shit like that just takes credibility away from you on oodles and boodles. And sometimes I wonder if it wasn't on purpose, just to bring bring it down some. Because I mean, he was getting to a position somebody might have shot his ass. But then I got to thinking about this. No one really bothered with him, which made me really, really wonder about the story. So I guess there's two things here. Either he was just outright lying, which is a possibility, or they just figured out that, you know what, no one's really going to pay enough attention to this. And if we bother with it, they will. But if we just leave it alone, they won't. And I think that was the latter choice. They decided not to bother with it, and it took credibility away from him, which I've met him a couple of times. He seems like a fairly straightforward guy. I asked him some pretty hard questions, but he refused to take a voice stress analysis. That put a big red check.
What's that, Joe? What's that?
Voice analysis is like a polygraph done with voice. It's
okay.
So the only reason you would refuse to take a polygraph or voice stress is if you're lying. Think of it this way: I testified twice. Both times I was connected to a polygraph machine, to the feds and to the Pentagon and to the Congress. Both times I was because I didn't want anybody to mistake what I was saying. I wanted them to make sure that, look, when I answered a question that's going to sound like it's out of this world, I wanted the polygrapher to be able to say, no, he's not lying. See, now one day that'll all be made public. Now that I've retired, it may be public even sooner, because the whole reason why we did it on the QT and the skiff is because I still had my construction company. Well, I sold that. And it doesn't matter if it comes out on radio. It just help the radio. It won't hurt the radio. So he may come out. It's up to them. There was a lot of stuff talked about that. Some of it may come out, some of it won't come out. I don't know. It's up to them. It's not up to me. And I mean, there were some serious questions asked of me, and there were some serious answers. The only thing that pissed him off is I refused to give him people's names. He's like, I don't understand. I said, because we're under a non-disclosure agreement. I said, you'd have to take me to court. Or I said, I could contact them and ask them, would you like to talk to these people? And if they said yes, I could put you in touch with them. I said, but other than that, no. He said, well, we could just take it out of your head. I said, you could give it a good try, but I don't think you're going to be able to. I said, in the end, you got what you wanted. You got the information that ICAR is carrying its databases, all three of the major databases. You got that information. I answered every question I could as honestly as they could. I said, because you could tell by the polygraph. And I said, and that's what you wanted to hear. I said, y'all's problem is you didn't want to hear that. You wanted to hear
Can
how
it's the correct. The polygraph for Trump?
Well, you can request polygraph for anybody. It's just whether you're
take polygraph.
So when they asked me, when they originally contacted me to testify, when I arrived in DC, I was staying at I call it the ex-Mandarin Hotel. The morning of, we had breakfast, and I said, could you call someone at Quantico and request a polygrapher? And the lady, Nancy, I can't remember if she's a senator or if she's a rep, but anyway, she said, oh, that's a good idea. So she asked one of the Pentagon people to contact him, and I don't know, 45 minutes later, the number 2 polygrapher for the FBI showed up. And that was the first day. It was 12 hours. I hooked the even for lunch. I ate lunch hooked up. And it was so funny because they'd ask me questions, and I'd answer them. This thing's like, and I remember when I looked over that guy, I said, "Well, yeah, I effed your mom," and it goes. He got really pissed, but I mean, it showed, but it was more than that because the polygrapher told him because they're like us. You have to learn body language and facial recognition. Now he told the guy, he said, "Look at him. He's comfortable. He's not even trying to lie to you." He said, "Just look at the guy. He's very comfortable in what he's saying. He's not wiggling around. He's really relaxed." He said, "Look at his eyes aren't flinching." He said, "This guy's just not lying to you." He said, "This is the truth as he knows it. Any way you want to look at this." And which just they were not ready for that. They thought this was going to be like a Dr. Greer Koresh thing, with a bunch of bullshit. It can't be verified. It could be a little said, "Oh, I seen something there." They just were not ready for the information I gave. You could tell. I mean, I told you the one guy, the admiral, told me point blank, "I hate your blinking life." He cussed me all over because he said now he has to rethink his entire life, how his children's life, his wife's life. He said because this is different. He said this is. Let me put it this way: when we left, they had no doubt that ET was real, not even a little bit. Not even a dash, nothing. In none of them, none of the people that were there had any doubt that ET was real. And the one guy, I still remember this. He was a congressman. I can't even say his name, but he said, "I wish I would have never met you." He said, "I would have rather lived in a fantasy than knowing this is real." He said, "I don't know what we're going to do about it." And he called me Mr. Montaldo. I said, "Just call me Joe." He said, No. He said, "I know you're putting your life on the line by doing this." And he said, I don't know. When I look at my fellow people," he said, "I don't even know how to introduce this to Congress." He said, "A lot will have to be done because behind closed doors." He said, and he said this many times, the American public is just not ready to know.
Well, I mean, there's two crimes going on at the deep state level there. What you have is, like what you said, a bunch of curious senators. But what's really going on is, if we have made contact with an alien species, and our government knows it and has been hiding it and keeping it secret since whenever the discovery was made, let's just call it 1947, that is a crime both against humanity and against the people of the United States of America.
I don't know. After these two interviews, I don't know what government. These people from the Pentagon were just as shocked as the Congress were.
Yeah.
They had no idea that these are way up. These aren't just some little hanger guys. These are way the hell up in rank. And they were stunned. You could see it in their face. They were stunned. They had no idea this was going on. And the one general guy says, "There is no one at the Pentagon that knows what you just told us." He said, "No one." He said, "I can guarantee you, no one at the Pentagon." He said, "There's no files on this. There's nothing hidden."
Yes, there
so
are.
I think that. So he went this
there, but they're there.
No, he said they're not there. And when we got there the second time, he did give me a file, which we're going to talk about in a little while. But he reiterated. He said, as far as what we were talking about, he said, this is not there. He said, there's no information of alien abductions or any of this. So then they all got together and we had discussed this before this second interview because the questions were much different in the second interview. And he said, all I can think is there some rogue group running around in our government that knows about this? He said, somebody somewhere has to know. He said, the information you gave us, he said, there's entirely too much data that you just handed over to us. Somebody has to know about this. He said, but the bad part is, he said, I don't think they know as much as you do. I said, well, that's possible. I said, there's a handful of us that have it. I said, but it's different. I said, I have 124,000 cases on file. I said, the government may have crossed 20, maybe 25 if they're lucky. I said, nobody wants to talk to them. I said, but the problem is I don't think it's just our government, guys. I think whatever this group is, because they needed information, is crisscrossed through our allies as well. I said, people call them the Men in Black. You can call them whatever you want. I said, but they're out there.
Society, the Bilderbergers, Majestic 12.
He don't think they're them either. He thinks this is a specialized military group. He said that either came
That's
from
crazy, man.
He said they came from inside the military and inside like Boeing and Lockheed and places like that. He said maybe some of the high end research facilities overseas. He said I don't think they're anything but that. He said because if it was a Bilderberg or he actually mentioned several other groups, a couple groups I've never even heard of, by the way, Jay. He said I would know. I was like, wow, would you? He said, oh yeah. He said, there ain't nothing them SOBs do that we don't know what's going on. He said they're bug plugged and something, a couple other nasty words he used. But he was serious. He was absolutely serious. He said, don't get me wrong. He said, I know a lot of things. And he said, but people with power are always kept in check. He said, we always know what they're doing. He said, we'll even bring in people to fall in love, marry him, be kids, all kind of shit. To be honest with y'all, I mean, there's only so much I can talk about when I get in trouble, but some of the stuff he told me was like, I mean, Jay and I've talked about this, kind of suspected some of this, but I was really, 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 really stunned at how they do this. It's just like they will bring people in and marry them. They will find it's crazy. Yeah, Lockheed, places like that. It's kind of horrifying. But they know what every rich person on this planet is doing. They could tell you what time they were taking a poop.
Well,
he said it's more than that. He said we have security now that I could listen to you in your house while I was sitting in Paris having dinner. I was like, shit. And he meant it. He meant it. They were in a lot of ways. Yeah.
When you testified, did they offer you protection after?
They did, and I told them I didn't need it. I said because see what they didn't understand. To me personally, I was not telling them anything that I have not talked about on air and other places. Now, this stuff we're talking about right now, this is itchy, sketchy kind of stuff. Because they didn't tell me I couldn't. They did tell me a few things I couldn't talk about, but they didn't tell me stuff like this I couldn't talk about. Because I told him, I said, I might get on radio to yap about this. He's like, and I guarantee you they're watching me left, right, and upside down. Should they watching y'all now because we're friends? It's
I've been being watched since I was a kid.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Stuff, but let me tell you something, Sean, that'll definitely blow your mind away. Tube televisions back in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, we all had them.
Right.
Biggest furniture. Well, what a lot of people didn't realize, and what most people still don't realize, microphones can become speakers, and speakers can become microphones.
Yep.
Video monitors can become video cameras, and video cameras can become video monitors.
And so all high def TVs are two-way.
Electricity goes through it, but the CIA and the NSA and other three-letter groups in the 60s, 50s, 70s, and 80s, they could look at you through your television, listen to you in your household through your tube televisions. And if you sat within 2 feet of the television, they could see who you were.
If you don't believe me, people, when you're talking in your house with your friends and all of a sudden you'll look down on your phones offering you something you just talked about or advice on something you just did.
All the time, Joe.
That's all because it's listening.
In my
opinion, I know it really sucked when high def TVs came out. They can see both ways. So when you're sitting there watching your big screen TV, it's 50-50. Somebody could be sitting there watching you. And now that they have AI, you can bet your ass AI is watching you.
Mm-hmm. I have no doubt that I am being watched, Joe, because like I said earlier, a couple months ago, when me and Jenny would do shows and we'd talk about stuff like this, I really believed that Big Brother was coming in and screwing with our show. You know what I mean? They really were.
Well, when you're on topic matter, if it's a topic matter, they don't want you to, like right now. So that's how I know we're not in any trouble because they haven't brought us down or anything. It's some of the stuff. It's so hard because it's so hard for me to talk about this. I got to talk about it in patches, but it's so on a secondary note, I was given a pamphlet. Well, I don't want to call it a pamphlet. So I've been talking about cattle mutilation for a long time, right? Them son of a bitches gave me confirmation, absolute and total confirmation So it's not even a doubt anymore that that's what they were doing. And it was so funny. This colonel guy goes, he said, I was against this, right? And I'm like, about what? That I knew what you were doing? He said, and how did you know that? He said, nobody else figured it out. He said, matter of fact, I heard you speak a few times. People said, oh, you crazy. It's aliens. You crazy. It's aliens. It's aliens. And we were all like, well, leave it like that. Well, no, because that asshole Joe wouldn't shut up.
Well,
So he said,
it
what?
always just fascinating how stupid it was for aliens to come here from wherever, even if they came from another galaxy, come down, pick up a cow, and cut out its juicy parts, and then leave the body. Why would they do that? It'd be stupid. If they were coming here for our cows, they're not going to leave anything behind. They're going to use as much of the animal as they want. And if they use it for food or whatever, they're not going to just carve it up and then drop it on the ground. So I always thought.
Yeah, you're right, because they'd probably just be cruising along anyway, just pick it up and keep on going.
Yeah.
There was only one reason to put the cows back, and that was for the insurance. And so that was the main reason, is to put it back for the insurance. I always thought it was kind of.
The one group you mentioned who did figure it out and started doing the same kind of mutilations on their own cattle just so they could collect insurance money on it.
Yeah. And that's what, that happened down in Brazil a few times. I think it happened in Colombia too. It was one of those things that, people seized on the opportunity to make money. It's one of those crazy kind of things. But it was so funny when I saw him reading this pamphlet, and I'm looking at this. It's actually a little like kind of notebook thing, and I'm reading it, and I'm like, wow. So first off, there were way more cattle mutilations than I knew about. Way more. Not just in this country either, by the way, but only in places where there had been nuclear. So this is what was so great about this pamphlet. You'd see red dot, bomb. Green dot, cattle mutilation. Blue dot, cattle mutilation had already been cashed out. Red dot, bomb. Green dot, cattle mutilation. Blue dot. That's all you see, blue, 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 everywhere. So, but none of them were east of the Mississippi. And it bothered me because they did, like in Mississippi, they blew up 2 bombs in Mississippi. But I guess they were, but these bombs we're talking about underground too. And that's one of the reasons they were watching them, but they do have a monitoring system here. They drove, I forgot what you call them, down into the ground to monitor the water tables.
But I mean, they definitely lit off way more nuclear stuff in the.
Yeah, way more. Well, so when I'm talking to the colonel guy, he goes, well, Joe, he said, look at it this way. Because there's like a cluster of red. I mean, just a cluster. It's
all in Nevada.
Well, this was actually in some kind of corner of, there's like a fork, like New Mexico, Colorado, what's next to it, Arizona. Anyway, it was like a cluster of them. And I was like, Jesus. He said, yeah, nobody knew about these. I was like, and there was lots more. By the way, I'm probably going to get in trouble for this, but there was lots more little red dots on there than I realized. And he said that you could find every one of them, but you would see them, and then you would see like, and this is another thing, you would see, so cluster here, and then you'd see green, 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 like a pattern going down, making sure it goes going downstream underwater. And then I started noticing there was 2 other colors, and there was a turquoise, another color. Well, turquoise meant flowing stream, underwater stream they were tested for. The other ones meant the food supply they were eating. And I was like, wow. I like to be right, don't get me wrong. But it was way more than I thought, Jay. I mean, it was just way more than I thought.
I'm not surprised. I mean, there's only so many that we were allowed to be made aware of. They essentially, as far as I know, just having heard these stories from whistleblowers over the last 40 years, it seems to me that they were trying to core out underneath the entire state of Nevada and New Mexico and that Four Corners area you're talking about.
It might have been too. Well, let me see. Anyway, so doing the second question line, somebody had said something to me, and so stupid me. I kind of asked this in the first one, but I really didn't get an answer. So
unless you don't want to do one.
Go ahead, take us to break, and we'll come back. And because I told you last time I'd asked about Dulce, and the guy looked at me like I was stupid.
Yeah.
And so I re-asked that question, but we'll talk about that when we get back. Hey, Leah, we're going to break. Just in time for a break, honey.
All right, let me
Hey,
get this
Leah.
on the screen.
Leah's a Men in Black case.
Hey,
I didn't
Leah,
know
she's
it.
driving.
She's a Man in Black. She's dangerous.
God, I wish they would go back to the old buttons.
I know. I hate these.
I hate these
So I
new
can't curse on the show. It makes it hard.
All right, let me throw that up on the stage there. Just a little bit of The Who, Baba O'Reilly.
One of these days, I'm gonna get Jay trained. Let me unmute my mic so I can go ding dong.
Yeah, man, that guy is wailing on that violin at the end there. Jeez, that's cool.
What are you talking about, Bobby? You know what? They would not tell me that. I asked 50 times who told them to talk to me. Oh yes, it had to be a former director. I mean, we still have directors, our ex-military and ex-Boeing, Lockheed. Yeah, we still have a few of them. But it had to be a director. There's no way. Because I mean, we talk about stuff on the air, but some of the questions they asked me, especially the second time, they had to have insight. Yeah, they had to have insight. Well, I mean, the first round of questions were a lot of questions, but most of it wasn't. So they'd ask me one question, and you know how I am. I babble on for like 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and then they give me a sip of something to drink. And then they're like all looking at each other and writing down notes and passing them back and forth. And then somebody'd come up and hand Nancy a question. And she'd say, well, what about this? And I'd be blah, 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 blah. And they were like, well, son of a bitch, you answered it. What was bothering them more than anything else, both times I went, was at the ease I answered their questions. It just drove them batshit crazy. It'd be like showing at it'd be like you if you were at a paranormal convention somewhere and they were asking you dumb paranormal questions. Or just paranormal questions in general. You'd just be like, bam, 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 and it made them crazy. Now, what I was told was this guy who polygraphed me this time was supposed to be the number one guy. He said he had talked with the other guy and said, wow, you know, because it was such ease. He said, we weren't 15, maybe 20 minutes in, and he looked at everybody and said, I don't think you got to worry about this guy lying. I mean, he said, if he's lying, he's the best liar I've ever seen. Look how relaxed he is. He said, are you on drugs? I said, no, y'all can take blood and find out if you like. I said, he said, no, because you'd be slurring. He said, the kind of drugs you need to be able to lie like this is, he says, unbelievable. So they'd be getting questions, and the guy was getting bored. And you could tell him.
The fact that people still think that people are lying about this. I mean, we were talking earlier before the break about Bob Lazar, and you mentioned how he was making fairly decent living as a janitor for a top secret laboratory. He's making good money doing this. Why on earth would he, you know, throw that gig away by coming out and saying, "This my job is to re-engineer, you know, reverse engineer spacecraft"? It's lunacy. Why would somebody do that to their career? Nobody.
Well, he was making five figures back then.
Yeah,
which would be equivalent to like six and a half figures today.
Yeah.
So
you lost.
You know, hold on, give me a second. I'll tell you.
Due to this kind of research, I haven't lost a job to do this kind of research, but I've been.
So when if I'm remembering correctly, when he was at the WIP facility, he was making 69. When he got to Los Alamos, where he only stayed for like a couple of weeks, he was at 70. When he went to Area 51, he was like 78, maybe 80. Back then, that's like 200 grand today.
88, 89.
Yeah, somewhere up in there, man. So
that's a lot.
So I mean, that's a lot of money just to turn down. So now, if the figures weren't right and they were lower, and he was just like the guy who mopped the floors in the cafeteria, that could be different. But he does have some knowledge that suggested he knew something. It did bother me that he didn't want to take the voice stress. That bothered me a lot. It's like Jim Burrs and James Finnison and Jim Burrs. It bothered me that they didn't want to take a polygraph.
Well, maybe they're afraid of being called a kook. I don't know. I can understand that, but maybe you could ask him again, see if he wants to do it. Maybe we could do it on the air. That'd be awesome. I would love
it kills me. Well, the movie Cable Green's out now, so Larry Warren's been voice stressed. Larry Warren's been polygraphed and voice stressed. So that's the one they said was the liar. He's the one who's been voice stressed and polygraphed. John Burroughs and Jim Penniston, neither one will take a polygraph or voice stress, and neither will Colonel Holt.
Well, I don't know, because of their duties at a nuclear facility in England when they were there for their event.
Yeah, but they weren't in the military anymore when I asked them, so it didn't matter.
Yeah, but they still may have stipulations in their non-disclosure agreements that if they do talk, they lose pensions or something.
Yeah, but that's only if we ask them a question that pertains to that. The alien stuff, they there's no way the military put on because they let Larry do it. So, and not just Larry, there's a couple other people who Well, see, people only want to concentrate on these 4 guys, but there were other guys that were there. There's actually a couple of ladies there too. So
that's like 30 or 40 people involved over a 2 or 3 night event.
So a bunch of them took polygraphs and stuff, but the 3 main characters before Larry would refuse. It just bothers me because it just tells me with Jim Penniston and John Burns, I had no doubt they were lying in the beginning. They just didn't want to get busted. What you talking about? Oh, you mean Peter Robbins? What do you mean? I don't have a problem with Peter Robbins. I don't like that he didn't like. I don't like that he took Sasha Christie's side on the Larry Warren thing. But other than that, so real quick before we get off, I don't want to get into this too deep. I've been knowing Peter a long time. So Peter calls me up one day, sends me 10 tapes, 10 high VA, the high A tapes of him and Larry walking through the woods. Okay. So I ran him through polygraph just to see what I could get out of him. It's, other than some fear in a couple of places where they got scared, neither one of them were lying. So they were clear on that. And then Larry, when I did the hardcore polygraph or the voice stress on Larry, he passed with shining colors. Shit, I did it one time when he was drunk and he passed with shining colors. He came on my show drunk one night, the bastard.
It'd be harder to get through if you were drunk, I would think.
Yeah, so anyway, it's one of those things that it just turned out to be what it was. Yeah. I think what happened is Sasha got burned one way or another. Either she was in love with the man, she gave him the what, or they were selling memorabilia. Shit.
Memorabilia.
Thank
you. Yep.
And I think he didn't give her what he was supposed to money wise. She got mad, started saying he was a thief and that he was lying. Okay, well maybe he was lying about that, but he was never lying about the what happened at the place. And for some reason, these people couldn't separate the two. So I stayed out as much as I could. But one of our hosts, Christina George, liked Larry, so she was bringing him on all the time. And that's what sent Sasha Christie off of me. And I said, Sasha, you went off of me. I said, I didn't even put your shit up there when you failed. Because she failed a voice dress with us. And she was telling me about all this stuff that was happening to her in England. And I asked her to take one. And she took it, and she failed pretty bad. Like she was making it up as she was going.
Well, that's
have one of those machines,
more details come out the further you investigate.
I kind of caught the middle of this story here. Is Sasha the man or the woman?
Sasha Christie's a woman. She used to be one of our directors for iCar. She got canned because and that's another thing I think that set her off. She got canned because I caught her in a lie. Not just me. A couple of the groups she worked for as an abductee called me and said, hey, Joe, this, and this. They knew she was lying. We knew she was lying. So we canned her ass. And then, of course, she just tore me up. She made a whole website about me. It's still up, too. Somebody said, you're going to sue her. I said, it's in England. It's a waste of time. It's which I still think was funny. Well, anybody knows me knows it's bullshit.
Pay to have that website stay up if it's still up.
Well, it's still up. Yeah. It's still up there.
I mean, whatever. Spend your money.
And the only time I talk about it is when it comes up with Larry Warren. People hear Cable Green's coming to the States, so I hear it's a pretty decent movie. Yeah. Jim and him should have been in it. It just debuted a couple of days ago in England. Yeah, so I'll find out when it's coming. What's the name of the movie? Capel Green. It's like Capel or something green. That's the Capel Green is the lawn or whatever you call it before the forest. The empty field, I guess, is what it was.
Okay.
So it's interesting.
Do you have one of those machines, Joe?
For voice stress, I don't need a machine. I don't need a machine for voice stress. So right here on my computer, I have it just shows me the peaks of your voice. So like when you're talking just normally, like right now when we're talking, it would be going, it'll have peaks and valleys and peaks. But we're just chit-chatting. So I know everything across there is even. When I start stressing you and asking you questions that's going to be stressful, it'll either drop real short or peak way high. And the higher it peaks and the longer it holds, the more you're lying.
Yeah.
It's not just that, because while I'm doing that, I'm watching your face and your body language as well. I got really good at this, and people don't realize I didn't learn this, and I tried to explain this to people. I didn't learn this for ufology. I learned this to catch thieves for some companies I worked for. So I learned voice dress from 2 state troopers. They sent me to school with 2 state troopers who were probably the best in the entire South. They taught me voice dress. And then one of the companies I was working with sent me to learn body language, facial recognition, and a couple other things besides that. There's even a text recognition. Yeah, that cracked me up, but it works because I've used it a few times. It's so when you do the combination though of all of it, it's a 99% chance that you got it right. There's a 1% chance that you could get it wrong, but when you take all of that, like we did with Larry, and then they took the #1 polygrapher in the UK to have him done, and he passed. I don't know, man. That's pretty hard to say he's lying.
Well, I mean, there's also other ways you can use. Police tactics use it all the time. Probative questions where you give false data, because the person you're interviewing expects you to be an expert in the subject as well. So I'm an expert in UFOs. If I were asking questions, I could ask someone who's lying, "Oh, well, did it have this kind of thing to it, or that kind of thing to it?" And then they like, "Oh yeah." Then you know right away. As soon as you give them false data that seems logical,
yeah, I've done that.
You know that they're full of shit.
Yeah, I've done that with people who started groups who were like very egotistical about paranormal. Mm-hmm. And I would just sit and talk with them, and I'd just look at them, honestly would look at them and say, "You're lying. You're lying. Just go away." And that's the truth.
The way Jeff and I met, we were talking we were both members of a paranormal group. I don't remember which one it was, but this is like 14 years ago, 10 years ago, 12 years ago. But he said something that was absolutely accurate to whatever the subject we were talking about, and everybody just started attacking him. And I was just like, you guys are idiots. What he said is absolutely accurate. And they started attacking me. I'm like, whatever, I don't care what you think, but you're all wrong. And so then we became friends because we got attacked by these idiots in this group, and it might have even been about flat Earth. It was something stupid that everybody just got on the bandwagon, like Joe was saying earlier. They just heard something, and like, "Oh yeah," and they ran with it. It was just funny as hell. Maybe Jeff remembers more details. I'll ask him about next time I see him. But I think there's a kitty cat trying to get through the door.
I really have a problem with flat earthers. I really do.
Oh my God, they're the stuff. It's another show, though.
Yeah, it is another show. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think doesn't the flat Earth
the subject he wanted to breach tonight, and I think we might want to ask him what that subject is. So we got about 40 minutes to go.
What were you saying, Leah?
Doesn't flat Earth kind of tie into the whole Tolkien style Middle Earth, where there's dragons and there was a whole realm of magic where there was,
No, that's the inner Earth people.
Oh,
That's close, but yeah, no, the flat Earth people just think we're living on a flat disc, and that we're not standing on an ellipsoid made of rock and magma, but we are.
Yes. Well, you know what though? So we found these big oceans underwater. Recently, they just found the underwater forest, underground underwater forest. So that's interesting. So some of that stuff under the earth might be true.
There's an entire cavern in China that is, or no, it's not China. It's Vietnam that is living it. But the locals refuse to go in there because of the lizard creatures, humanoid lizard creatures that dwell within this cavern. But there's an entire ecosystem in there. It's even got its own light source, like phosphorescent lichens, glow-in-the-dark lichens.
How many countries have you guys visited in your lifetime?
26.
2.
26.
I've been to 45 states and 44 countries.
26,
So,
Leo.
would you say that the Earth is a large planet or a small planet in like comparison to the rest of the planets in the universe?
I don't know. I've been out there to see them.
No, just using our solar system as a guide. Our planet is relatively small. Most of the moons of Jupiter and Saturn, there's over 300 of them, are larger than our planet and probably could sustain atmospheres. So we're on the small side of a planet.
What would you say is so special about this planet that would make alien species want to come visit us?
It's not the planet. It's so much as it is the location of our solar system. We're in between two solar arms. These are two solar arms. We're like my nose is our solar system. We're between two solar arms for all the other stars. Billions of stars over here. There's nothing in this space but us and maybe a few other rogue stars with nothing living on them. So it's a strategic point where we could,
We're a truck stop.
Attacks left and
Well,
right.
no, so it's kind of weird for us. So we're way off the spiral arm now. We are in line with the Sagittarius galaxy, so we could be pushed through. Sagittarius may have pushed us through the spiral arm and put us here. Maybe we don't know for sure.
Spiral arm of
but we're kind of a good ways off the Milky Way spiral arm, which is weird because you don't really see that many other planets like that. Which also makes it weird is how did these aliens find us? So one of the things we were talking about tonight, it's one of the topics for the night is, so there's 3 destroyed planets in our solar system. Yeah. There's 3 aliens that visit us on a regular basis.
Yes.
So it's a good possibility that the 5th planet probably housed one of these races, which were it would have been a 5G planet, so it would have been much stronger than us. There's also Mars and there's also Venus. So Venus' upper atmosphere is identical to Earth.
Well, Venus isn't from this galaxy anywhere. From this
that's what I'm saying. It may have came when the Sagittarius dropped them in.
The Velikovsky speculation, and I'm a proponent of this one. He speculates and he quotes Bible verse after Bible verse about the 40 days of darkness and of like before Venus actually gets here and all kinds of chaos that happens. But what he speculates is that this planet Venus came in, destroyed the 5th planet, sucked the atmosphere and water off of Mars, dropped it on Earth. After it bounced into Earth.
That's too early. That's too early.
This is his speculation, though. That's his.
I know, but what I'm saying is they have a time frame. So they don't have a time frame on Venus, but they have a time frame on Mars and the 5th planet, which is somewhere around 55 or 60 million years ago.
Yeah.
So and more than likely, probably what happened is when Sagittarius was being forced through the arm, because it's pretty busy in that arm. And that's probably where it came from. We probably stole it from another solar system. Not just that, I would bet you some of the outer planets we stole from the solar system.
It's possible. The 2 anomalies in our solar system, one is Venus. All the planets and moons in this solar system clockwise. They rotate counterclockwise. Venus rotates clockwise. A moon of Uranus, instead of standing like this and spinning counterclockwise, it's on its side spinning counterclockwise. So something knocked it over.
What about Uranus? Isn't it like spinning on a horizontal axis?
No, it's one of its moons. That's what I was saying. One of its moons, instead of being horizontal like this, it's vertical and it rotates counterclockwise like this, and then it goes around Uranus. There's a hexagonal storm at the top of Saturn that's perfectly like a stop sign at the top of Saturn. We don't understand it. It's weird. It's like a vortex. You got the red storm on Jupiter. It's been written about for centuries, hundreds, thousands of years. People have been observing this spot,
and it's fixing to go away, along with the rings of Saturn.
As well as the rings, and
really
the invisible rings of Jupiter.
What do you mean?
They're going away, and the Saturn rings will be gone in our lifetime.
Yeah.
Well, how?
They're just debris. It's all it is debris. It's being sucked into the planet. Yeah, it's just being sucked in like
Are
a
you
vacuum
kidding?
cleaner.
No.
Nope. Well, they're pretty sure there was a ring around Earth at one point.
All the planets
Is
started
that
with
what
rings.
became? Was that what became the like asteroid belt?
No, so
Asteroid belt was a planet that was destroyed.
so this is what's weird about all of this. They figure the asteroid belt was destroyed about 55 million years ago, and the reason they say that is because of the moons and the strikes on Mars. So if the planet would have been in whole, it wouldn't have struck Mars. So they think what happened is they're not sure what cracked it up, but something cracked it up, and you could see what it did, and you can see this very clearly because 2 of those asteroids are still in orbit of Mars. One of them hit the bottom of Mars and created Olympus Mons, and then the other one that Jay and I always talk about, the valley that's just either electrical or dirt, something just
Some sort of plasma
man,
event, something.
so all of that happened about 55 million years ago.
Well,
So
also
same time the Earth went.
rocks we have are at least 5 million years old. They came from Mars. They had to have been floating around for more than 5 million years old.
Yeah. So and then Earth died around the same time that Mars did. So and they're pretty sure that the 5th planet is what caused it. It cracked up and caused it. They're almost positive that's what caused Venus to go ape shit.
I'm very sorry to ask this question. I need to ask this question, but I never.
Ask away.
What is the 5th planet? Because I never heard of it.
Okay.
It's the asteroid
It's
belt.
an asteroid belt. Yeah, it's an asteroid belt. So originally, they told us the asteroid belt was leftover debris from the forming of the solar system. That's what they told us in school. And then all of a sudden, they found some metals that can only be made under this ungodly amount of force. So if they were just asteroids, this metal wouldn't have formed. So now they know at one time this was a planet. They don't like to talk about it because they think it throws theory, it screws up everybody's theories, but it does make sense.
It is also written in the Sumerian text, their cosmic text, that there were 12 planets. Now, Sitchin thought that they counted the sun as a planet, but in their early solar systems, they have 12 planets, including Pluto.
And they actually say it's about 5 times the size of Earth.
It would have been 5 times the size of planet Earth.
And they can only see it every 3,600 years. So probably where it was parked, that's when we see it. See, everybody always thought it was way out in orbit and it would just come around, but that's not actually what was going on at all. It was parked right there next to Jupiter and by Mars. And Mars, remember, Mars, they know now for a fact, 50, 65 million years ago, Mars was just like Earth is today.
Probably had
it was very pristine.
Megalodon type stuff.
There may have been grays on there. We don't know for sure because we got to remember, people forget that Mars may have formed much earlier than Earth did on a magnitude of 20 to 50 million years.
Yeah.
So they may have been us 20 million, 50 million years ago. So that's the real screwy part. And they don't know what was on the 5th planet.
Well, I have always speculated why would the aliens be interested in this solar system? There's only 2 reasons why you would be interested in this solar system. One is a strategic point, as I said, to launch attacks into the Sagittarius and Orion arms of our galaxy. That's where you can launch attacks to. Or you were having a war and you accidentally destroyed this small solar system.
But that's not even the best one. The best one is they're from here.
Or they're from here trying to fix
their
world.
grade. So when you look at it,
I think Joe's onto something with that. That's kind of
I'm pretty positive
my
because
head's
the 5th planet. So when you talk to a reptilian, they're way stronger than any of the rest of them. They sound like they're on a 5G planet. That's what they sound like. So the Greys would have easily been Mars, low light, the way their body shape is, so they could move around much easier. And the humans could have came off of Venus. So all 3 of them races could have came from this solar system. Now, whatever happened screwed everybody. And then there's us. So this planet was wiped out too. So there was 4 planets wiped out. So somebody needed to come here and colonize because somebody needed to survive. I think they all came here originally. And then eventually they went away. They found other places to go live because they couldn't all live here because there was going to be a freaking war. But when you look at the human body is set to a 24 and a quarter hour clock. That's Mars. That is not Earth. And we don't know what the spin on the fifth planet was because it's gone.
Well, another couple of weird things. We're the only creature on the planet whose tears irritate our eyes. All the other creatures' tears are the same pH as their body. It doesn't irritate their eyes like it does ours. Our sweat bothers us. Our eye.
We're the only thing on this planet that Gaia wants to get the blank off that planet.
Yep. We also every other mammal on this planet is at least 85 to 90% covered in fur. We are not. If we evolved on this planet, we would tend to be a lot more furrier. Even if we have advanced to where we are now.
I've seen some pretty furry human men. I mean, and women too. But I have seen some pretty furry dudes.
Yeah. Well, we do share DNA with a lot of animals on this planet. But what I'm thinking really happened is when we got wiped out and Mars got wiped out, Atlantis was probably the bearer of life. They probably came here and created us. They probably came here. Well, we know the Sumerians technically created us, but they probably came here and started colonies, started putting life all over the planet because they wanted to move here. But then the Sumerians found
Garden of Eden because there's more than one type of human on this planet.
Yes.
So we weren't all made in the Middle East. Some were made in China. Some were made in Australia.
So it looks like there was somebody who came here, maybe a couple of races that came here and started life. I mean, the Sumerians talk about the creation of man, and the Dogon talk about how the reptilians spurred it on. So as far as we're concerned, for sure, the reptilians and the humans created us. The race that's here today, they created us.
Reptilians. The Dogon think they were fish people.
I don't know. Every time I hear they're supposed to be reptilians that walked out of the water.
Well,
the ship came and landed in the water, then they walked out.
Yanu or the god that they pick. He's always got two.
The Nemos.
Yeah, that's
they call them the Nemos.
Yeah, but their main god, Iano, he is always shown as a merman.
No, they might have did that on for a perfect reason. But the Dogon knew a lot.
But the same story happens in Japan with the Dogu figures, and those Japanese, Korean prehistory people describe them as being amphibians. So I mean, they're not. I'm not saying they're right or wrong. It's just they.
Well, no, the reptilians are definitely amphibious. They have gills and they can breathe out the water. Well, we know they were. We know they were like dragon reptilians because that's what the Sumerians said they were.
Some with wings, yes.
And so that's what the Dogon said those were. But that doesn't mean there was more than one. We know when you get into the reptiles, there were, as far as I can remember, there was at least 14 different tribes. So they're all living all over the place. So we don't know we know some tribes had gills. We know some tribes had wings. Some had this. They all had something different, but they were all related. That's the thing. They were all related. People always got confused with that. They always thought they were different species. They weren't. They were all related to each other. They evolved different ways on their own planet. Their planet was probably vast. That's why I think it was the fifth planet. They probably had different kind of water, different places, because they were winged. They were like dragons where they could fly, they could swim underwater, they could walk on land. It just seems like there were several versions of the species. So that's how they evolved. And when the planet went shit-faced, they had to find other planets to go live on. And Earth was a good planet because it had a lot of water, lots of places to go. But the humans got here first. And for some reason,
so dense?
What's so dead?
Dense.
What's so
Why do I?
dense?
There's just so much heaviness.
Compared
Gravity.
to what? Oh no, there's no gravity. There's only 1G. 1G is nothing.
Man.
1G is nothing.
Maybe it's just where I live in the Midwest. It feels so heavy. Everything feels like it's weighing down on me.
Well, that might be the heat because it is very hot. It makes the air. You're right. It does make the air denser. But if we were standing on Mars, we would be experiencing 0.6 G, and so it would be a little different.
Yeah, you'd be able to jump up to the first floor of your house.
Yeah, 30
you wouldn't need stairs. Yeah, just jump up. There's lots of things you could do that you couldn't do on Earth. You could lift up your front of your car and work on it and stuff. With your arms, you wouldn't have to have a jack and things like that. So here you do now. The reptilians, if they came from the fifth planet, they could easily lift up your whole car, throw it around if they wanted to. They would be like superhumans, super beings. And if the humans came from Venus, Venus is a lot like us, so they would have felt at home here. It's the same gravity, same size, basically, a little different rotation, but they would have felt like they were at home here. I wonder, because of a different spin, how they went. They must have been dizzy the first couple of decades they were here. Because it was a reverse spin.
Yeah.
I don't know. None of us were there, but it does look more and more.
Venus onto Earth, you would most likely, for a couple of days, maybe a week or so, you'd have a different equilibrium. You'd have to wait and let your body acclimate to the different spinning.
Well, it does look more and more that they may have come from this galaxy. They're all 4 planets are in the inhabitable zone, all 4 of them. And they were all pretty much the same planets 50 to 60 million years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And we know Venus was just like Earth because its upper atmosphere is identical to ours. And I mean identical to ours.
The funny thing is, you know what they called it before? They called it the habitable zone? It was called the Goldilocks zone.
Yeah, I remember that.
Oh, okay, so if Venus was exactly like Earth,
I remember that.
Why can't
only the atmosphere was?
So we would be able to survive if it's the same atmosphere, right?
Only the upper atmosphere. The lower atmosphere is so dense it would crush you into nothingness.
Every probe we send into the atmosphere, within a mile going into the atmosphere, is crushed.
Okay, I was just wondering it.
Yeah,
I don't know.
So,
they can't survive.
Now there's ways to fix that. There are ways to fix. Actually, there's a scientist that we've talked about this before. So he was thinking if you could run a crazy pipe from Venus to Mars, you could do 2 planets at one time, because by removing the heat and some of the which I forgot what he called it off the planet, it would release the pressure. So the pressure would go down, and Mars's pressure would go up, which is what we want, and it would heat up Mars and cool down Venus at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
That's beyond our technology at the moment, though.
Yeah.
Give us 5,000 years, we'll figure it out. I don't know. AI might figure it out faster.
They're still working on that. They're still working on that teleportation device, and they're moving, light particles here and there. Maybe one day it'll be, gas.
I'm glad you said that. So the military today beamed pure energy 5 miles.
Wow.
We talked about this a while back, didn't we?
No, not this. This is not the pure energy thing. This is something new. This is something they've been trying to do. So Tesla said it was possible to put satellites in space and beam energy straight down to your house and not have to worry about it.
Yes.
But then somebody figured out, oh no, if you get on your house roof when it's happening, it'll burn you to a crisp because it's a microwave. But this is something different. They want to be able to do this, because think if you got a ship in space, we could just beam energy straight up to it and not have to carry all that fuel and shoot it wherever, and they could pick up energy from different sources, especially if you could beam it miles at a time. 5 miles is a lot for this technology, but they're looking for tens of thousands of miles, what they're looking for. Also, too, if you could do an energy beam, say 1,000,000 watts, and send it to Moscow, it would pretty much crisp it into a toasty. It could also be used as a weapon. But they really want to design it as a power supply. They're trying to get rid of wired. See, that's another thing. The Greys don't have wires on their ships. Actually, the reptilians and humans don't have wires on their ships. They're wireless. So they're figuring they could do this wireless. They could pump, just power everything wireless. The first time I ever seen that was on the, what TV show was that? It was the first colored sci-fi ever, where Leslie Nielsen was the leading man.
Forbidden Planet.
Forbidden Planet, that's it. Yeah, that's the first time I ever seen that. They were beaming electricity from one place to another with no wires. That's something we've been trying to do for a long time. We're getting there now, though. So these are all things that will happen in the next decade or so. And then pretty soon you'll be able to teleport to France and get you some French fries, man, in France.
Oh,
go to Maine and get you some Maine lobster, and then go over to Hawaii and get some mahi and have a good dinner.
That would be crazy, man. That would be crazy. You know what, Jay? I just teleport down to Joe Montaldo's house and
One day because I like to cook. But that's the thing. You can have stuff sent from all over the place, or you can go get it yourself. Go have dinner wherever you want to have
Easily
dinner.
go to New York and get a New York pizza and bring it back to your house in 20 minutes, and it'd still be hot.
Yep. Actually, you might even be able to have them just beam it straight to your house.
Yeah, even
that would be crazy, man.
It's kind of like big, you know, you get the crypto coin number. You'd have your number, you'd give it them. Boop, 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 shoo. All of a sudden, there'd be sitting in your thing. Well, you know it too when it come in. You'd be smelling like, holy crap.
Welcome back, Heidi.
What's up, Leah?
Will you guys tell me what your opinions are on cryptocurrency and what the future of it is now that Trump signed it?
To be
That's
honest
a Friday.
With you, for me, I don't know.
It's not
It's a Friday.
Bother with it.
There's a lot into it, but we can't talk about it on the show. It's too much.
Yeah.
I hope we'll be able to join in on Friday because I want to talk about this Genius Act and its implications.
Everything's got implications when it comes to Uncle Trumpy.
Yeah.
I love me some Trunky, man. Some Trumpy. He's definitely changing the world, that's for sure. I was listening to Democrats just today, bitching him about Bitcoin, how it's making him rich, and how the airplane he's going to keep it. And I'm thinking, dude, he did what he was supposed to do. He put the whole thing is to regulate Bitcoin, and that's what he did. And oh wait, so what about this theory we live in a black hole?
Well,
like the center of the center. Well, isn't the center a black hole?
The center.
No, they're saying the whole universe is in a black hole.
It could be
the whole universe.
They speculate the anomaly that created the Big Bang was one of the two, either a white dwarf or a black hole. One of those two went to like critical mass and exploded and created the universe.
So the giant black hole sucked in all this matter and then put it out on the other end, and it became a universe.
Yeah, something to that.
That's why it would be a big bang, big flash, and there it was, all that stuff. Because now they're finding out that galaxies are much closer and much bigger to the Big Bang. They weren't even supposed to be galaxies that close, and they're finding out they are. Every time we go in space, we find out something more. So James Webb just today or yesterday sent another thing, found another planet with hydrocarbons in it, about 4 times the size of Earth. Hydrocarbons is what you get when you use industrial stuff on our planet. Your cars, your planes, everything makes hydrocarbons. So that means life, and advanced life at that. What's a killer about it is it's 100 light years away, which means the hydrocarbons are 100 years old. That means that race is 100 years more advanced than we are. So that's about the state we are right now, and then put them 100 years ahead of us. That'll be an interesting group. They're probably still not deep space travel yet, but I bet you they're more advanced in a lot of things. Or they could be dead as far as we know. But that's the 6th planet they found they think there's life on. And everybody keeps saying there's no life out there. I'm like, have you been watching James Webb? What the hell you been doing, people? And James Webb has scanned what? This much of the sky? Well, you seen the guy the other day, he's showing the galaxy. James Webb did it. It was a 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch piece of the sky. Found 10,000 galaxies. 10,000 galaxies.
Wow.
How do you count? I don't understand. How do you count galaxies?
The computer does it.
Oh, the computer does it?
Well, you can physically see them. Yeah, you can physically see them, so the computer does it.
So I got something interesting for everybody.
Yeah, the picture's out there. Y'all can see it's a great picture. There's a nice galaxy right there.
That is our galaxy. An artistic galaxy. But right here, this little blip. Bloop, you are here. That is our solar system. That's the Sagittarius arm. Is this on? Hang on a minute. Is it on?
Yeah, I got you. You're on. You good.
We're here getting taxed on everything.
But right here, if you can see the little magnifying glass, that's the Sagittarian arm from the Sagittarius galaxy. This is the Orion spur, which is part of, the Milky Way itself. But we're right in the middle. There's like very little stars around us. A lot of red dwarfs. but very
Yeah,
little
which I
around
think
us.
was deposited. Yeah.
That is why
Have
we
any
are
of you
so-
guys ever? Have any
Huh?
of you guys ever played? Have you ever played the game Elite Dangerous?
No.
Never
You
heard of it.
should. It's supposed to be to scale a complete map of our galaxy.
Yeah, I've played a lot of
At least our
games with
solar
our Galaxy on it.
But this one is like you fly through space. I've never actually played it. I watched my partner play it. I'm into No Man's Sky a little more. But Elite Dangerous, you have to learn how to fly these spacecraft, and it looks extremely complicated. Like real, like it's like a simulator for actual spacecraft.
There's a couple of games out there like that you can get into. There's a few of them.
That's
But,
right up
I always
Jay's
liked
alley,
it.
man. That's right up Jay's alley there.
I never had the time to. Jay, look up the latest picture from James Webb. I just seen it the other night. The guy who actually, one of the astronomers that worked on it was on talking about it with. He was on with Neil deGrasse Tyson. Even Neil was stunned, going, "Jesus!" I mean, and wait, even the computer couldn't probably catch them all because some of them were probably in the field so deep it couldn't see them. But when you start looking at a star system with 400 billion planets, or I'm sorry, 400 billion suns, God knows how many planets, we're talking trillions. And then you multiply that times just 10,000.
Is this the black hole you're thinking about?
No, it was it's a deep field shot. And let me see if I can find it. It's
Okay,
not
here's
even
our
been out
data
that
by
long.
2025. Let's look at that. Yeah, so we got direct collapse black hole is the most recent thing.
The black hole. I live in a black hole. That kind of sucks to live in a black hole. I don't know if I want to live in a black hole.
I don't think we have much choice. Well, years and years ago, they called it the shapely center of the galaxy because they didn't know what it was. But I think recent finds they have confirmed that it is indeed a black hole. I don't know why they don't call it still the Shapley Center, but James Shapley.
Well, I doubt they can actually prove it's a black hole. I know Neil deGrasse Tyson was like, "Well, it's very sketchy." That's how he said it.
Well, I think the evidence is pretty close to that. We can probably say it more than likely is. But
because
and if
the reason you can't because the light don't come out.
If it's not a black hole, it could be something scarier. So let's just go with black hole.
What's scarier than a black hole?
Me?
I don't want to find out. That's why, at least with a black hole, we suspect that, like Joe said, it's like a wormhole effect. You go through the black hole end of it, and you're spit out, changed, albeit, but into another part of the galaxy.
Would you not
in a white dwarf or a white? What is? It's not a white dwarf. It's a quasar.
Wow.
You've watched Event Horizon.
Huh?
You've seen the movie
I've seen
Event
it.
Horizon?
It's been a while, but I've seen it.
Well, would
The
you
movie was
consider
terrifying.
when CERN is released? See, everyone's talking about those black holes. I would
This
like
is different. And they don't even call this a black hole. They actually call it something else. There's another name for it. They don't even call it a black hole. They call it I can't remember, but when they show it to you, they don't actually call it. It is, as far as we're concerned, as humans, it's a black hole. But they actually call it something else. Because they show you
singularity.
There's actually no way for us to know for sure because light doesn't escape the event horizon. So we can't look backwards and see anything. Because the light will never penetrate the other side because it can't escape the event horizon. We can only look forward and see what we see forward. And then we have to look for the edges. But it seems like the galaxy, the universe itself keeps growing. So we're not. So that's another reason they're not sure if it's a black hole because we are growing, we're stretching outwards. They always keep saying we're going to stretch out there, and then one day we're going to pop back. Maybe, I don't know. That's another scary thing. You get way. There's supposed to be a time when you won't even be able to see the next star to you. It'll be so far away. And then it's supposed to just snap back and go in reverse. We don't know. We're ignorant human ape people.
And we don't live long enough to actually have the correct data.
Let me see if this is the one I was looking for. Share screen. But all these are great theories, and I'm not against it being a black hole or whatever the hell they're going to call it. You know what? I bet you it's on Neil deGrasse Tyson's latest show, whatever the show name is. I bet you it's on there. Let me see. Where are we? Let me go find us. And where is it on here? There it is. So let me see if I can blow it up now. La da 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 da.
Yeah,
Mama said, "Don't marry a black hole because it'll be a bitch." Let's see. Where's the little speakery thingy at? Where the hell did it go?
Bottom left, right in front of the play button, and then on the other side is the expand button.
No, not that. I'm looking for the up here at the top. It should. Okay. That's not it. That's not it. That's not it. Is that it? No, that's not it. That's definitely not it. And there's usually a little square on whichever one you're looking at. For some reason, it's not doing it on here. I don't know why.
You want to expand it, right?
Yeah, that's all I want to do, but I can't find it on the list.
Okay. You see where it says YouTube? Go over to the right. And there's that little box, hit that button.
It's not showing it on mine. That's what I mean. It's usually there's a little box that shows me what I'm looking at, but for some reason.
See where my arrow's at? Can you see my arrow?
No, I can't see it. I can only see mine. I've been through all the YouTubes. It's just not there. It's I don't get it. It should be there. Oh wait, maybe it's somewhere else. Maybe it's not on YouTube. Well, you got that much open. Okay, let me try doing it this. Remove. And I don't know. For some reason, it's not letting me. Oh, I bet you. Where is it at? Not Facebook. What was I looking on? What was I looking?
What time is the show over tonight?
Ah, there it is. You no good bastard. It was on. Oh, we get all. Oh, we ain't got that much time.
Yeah, you got about.
Okay, is it gotten bigger now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, news I couldn't find. It was down there in Google. I was like, oh, okay, it should have had a box next to it. So this is a deep field. This is 10,000 galaxies. I wonder if it'll let me play it. Let's go see if it'll play.
There it is.
I mean, we're talking just an eensy beensy tiny switch of the sky. This is. It's like if you, it's just tiny.
Yeah,
It's just a scoop of sand from a beach.
Yeah, what they said was a half inch by a half inch. What they said.
That's crazy, man.
And there's only one star that you can see. All the rest of them are galaxies. There's one star from our solar system you can see. So when people say there's no life in our in the universe, you got to look at them and say, "What the hell are you talking about?" Each one of those galaxies.
Those lens flares are. I thought that doesn't exist in the. I thought that's like superimposed.
No, but something very, very bright would produce lens
Yeah,
flare.
because one of them is a star from our solar system, and the other ones are everything else on there is a galaxy. They were actually talking about the other night. It's crazy when you look at it because it's just so many of them.
Yeah, it makes it mathematically impossible that there isn't life out there. And this nonsense that, there's infinite diversity and infinite combinations, the Spock thing, it's bull honkery. They've already discovered several snowflakes that are of the exact configuration. So even though there may be quadrillions of combinations of genetic material, it eventually you get repeats. It has to. There's just too much stuff out there for it to not keep going.
And look at how close some of these galaxies are to each other.
Yeah. Lenticular ones, spiral ones, quasar.
That's
I mean,
crazy, man.
Look at it.
That's crazy. That's
and then
crazy.
people again tell you, "Oh man, you know, that's it. There's
It's the
no.
devil's work. It's not real.
It's such a little swath of the sky too. I mean, when you think of looking at the whole sky, there's got to be 100 billion galaxies out there or more. The chance. I mean, just in our own galaxy, the chance of life is great.
Yeah.
When you start thinking about
Mish
the
has a good
universe,
question. Why can't they tell us? Well, the reason is that they already have. The U.S. government can't tell us because the aliens won't let them. And the other reason is they themselves, the aliens, have disclosed
well,
themselves.
but see, that's what I was saying earlier. We're not going to get to talk about it now, but that's what I was saying earlier. And when I was giving testimony, they didn't know. I'm telling you, all them people. So the first time we went, there was about 40, 38, maybe 42 people from the Pentagon. There was a couple admirals, a couple generals, quite a few colonels and captains from the Navy. And there was at least 8 or 9 senators and at least 20 House reps. None of them knew. Not one of them had a clue. So this time around, with the exception of like 3 people, it was all different people, still with the same kind of ranks and all. None of them knew. They just don't know. Matter of fact, it still scares them to even think that this is going on. If there was any way they could have proved I was lying, they would have. I mean, they went
That what
over
was
and
going
beyond
on?
that we have life visiting our planet.
Oh.
And have had for thousands, millions of years.
So the point being is the government itself, the Pentagon government, the government that runs our government doesn't know. Everybody always says they know, but they don't. And I know that for a fact now. I don't even have to guess anymore. I mean, I was pretty much told, look, we had no clue whatsoever. Matter of fact, most of the people from the Pentagon said, we just thought it was bullshit. We didn't even look into it. And when I asked them about Dulce and Area 51 and contents of extraterrestrials, they laughed. I ain't shitting you. They laughed.
Really?
Yes. They were like, nope, they ain't none of us. We ain't got none of. He said, and 2 of the guys have been in Area 51 a dozen times. He said, that's not what we got out there. It's not even what it's for. Yeah, which he actually told me some of what it's for, and it had nothing to do with extraterrestrials. It's I don't, it's kind of scary to me that they really don't know. So like we talked at the beginning of the show, because I know we're going to wrap up. The only people we can find besides the researchers that know, or this particular group of men in black, girl in black, whatever you want to call them, and there's not that many of them. These are ex-Boeing, ex-Lockheed, ex-people from the military. These are probably the people at the Pentagon that said, you know what, there must be something going on. But they're not going to let me look here, so they left. And I can't give you his last name, but Bruce, who's a general, said there is not one piece of paperwork in the entire Pentagon that researches the extraterrestrials. He said not even classified or blacked out. He said
I've
not
seen
one
one in
piece.
real life.
He said when you see stuff from like what did he tell me? When you see stuff redacted that came from, he said, didn't come from them. But when I asked him about different bases, he said, well, it is possible, because I'd asked him about Hangar 18. He said it is possible that there was stuff there, and then it got redacted. He said, but we never seen it. It never came to us. He said it's not even how it works. And he said if there was a craft of any consequence, he said it would have been brought. I can't even tell you the damn place. So get this. There's a place more classified than Area 51. Who would have known that?
Mm-hmm.
I was stunned. The guys, he said, I can tell you this because they went over my classification backwards, forwards, up and down. They wanted to make sure it wasn't a fake. And he said, I can tell you this. He told me. And I was like, you're fucking kidding me, right? He said, no. I said, what do you do there? He said, I can't tell you that. You'd have to take you to visit us. Like, no way. I ain't going nowhere with you fucking idiot. You forget that shit. And he asked him about Dulce because I wanted to know, because I had talked to some people with decent rank at Dulce, and he said, no, that's not what went on in Dulce. He said there was a firefight at Dulce, but it had nothing to do with extraterrestrial. So I can tell you this. We had captured a group. I can't tell you who they are because they say it's still classified, and they tried to escape. This was a top secret. How can I say this without getting myself in trouble? Anyway, it was a top secret something that you used. It could have been a boat, could have been an airplane, could have been anything that one of our enemies had, and we had captured it out anyway. And then we brought it there to see what it was and to work it out. And that someone somehow or another managed to get through one of the fences because they don't use jail cells. They have another way they do it. And they got out, and there was a firefight between them, which all members were killed. Maybe if I ever see you fuckers in person, I can probably tell you that. Jay, you're gonna freak when I tell you, man. Shit, your daddy might have known about it. Doing what he did, he might have known about it. It's Jimmy, I wish I could tell y'all, man. This is something that would get me thrown in a deep dark hole somewhere. Look, I'll tell you this. I was given some information the first time, but not very much. This time, though, because the guy said I was so cooperative and gave them so much, they felt like they needed to give me something in return to help me to rule out places that I thought might have been hiding aliens and give me another way of looking where they might actually be if we had a craft or if we had something. I was like, okay, I will tell you this. There's something offshore. That's all I can say. I can't even say where it's at. I can tell
I
you
know
something.
where it is. There's actually a couple, but
This is
California.
Place. No, I know where. No, see, you
In
give me
between
trouble. I can't tell you.
Catalina Island and Los Angeles.
No,
that's not the one.
I can tell you there's nothing out there in California to worry about, but
no. It'd be somewhere between Bermuda, Bahama, and Cuba.
Yeah, I can't tell you where it's at, but I can tell you it's huge.
Yeah.
And they have two different rigs they use to port, and the rigs are something like 400 miles apart. I can tell you that. I just can't tell you where the rigs are, who they belong to. Jeffrey, I wish, man. This is information that I'll probably have to take to my grave. There's a few things they told me and showed me. I just maybe, I don't know.
It's
I'm never.
I think, Sean.
They're but they didn't tell me when I was with friends. I couldn't say nothing. Yeah, they implied it is what they did. Will I ever talk to them again? They said at least one more time. Yes. There was some new stuff they had heard they wanted to talk about. Actually, if I remember correctly, there's somebody they wanted me to meet that we could confirm each other's data. I don't know who it could be. I asked him if it was somebody in the ufology field. And wait, I'm going to tell you, you're going to love this. So when I said the ufology field, all but the Congress people laughed their nuts off. The military people almost fell off their seats laughing. As far as the best I can tell you, it's what I got from them about ufology is it's just a cover. And that's almost, I can't tell you exactly what it was, but that's almost what he said. They laughed. I'm telling you, they giggled like some little schoolgirls getting their feet tickled or something. It was kind of embarrassing. They giggled so hard, but they did give me some other stuff that some of it I'll probably be able to talk about in the near future. But like the cattle mutilation thing, they let me talk about that with no problem. But he said it was because I'd already kind of broke the data. So what I'm going to do with all the new stuff is I'm going to go through it and see where this stuff I've talked about before, and then we can come back and talk about that. And he said as long as I had said it publicly before, it was okay. Yeah, so we'll see how that goes. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. But I don't want to get none of y'all killed, y'all friends, man. I don't want to show up at Jay's house and Sean's house and Leah's house and drag their asses out and throw them in a black truck and never be seen again.
Yeah, no, thank you.
I'm waiting for that to happen.
Throw the kitty cat in there with you and say, "You come with me now." You mean, Dean, would they kill him? No, they wouldn't kill him. They would just throw him some deep dark hole, someplace we've never heard of. I don't. The thing of it is most of the secret stuff, from what I understood, had nothing to do with aliens. It was more to do with projects we were working on to give us a serious leap ahead of our our enemies. But I will tell you something that I got out of this. So whether these people actually knew about extraterrestrials or not didn't matter, because whatever data they were getting
was false.
Most of it was, but then somebody was feeding them, like the DOA. Somebody was feeding them information.
Mm-hmm.
I should wait. Let me rephrase that. Technology. Somebody was feeding them very advanced technology, something we would think of as advanced extraterrestrial technology, but they had no idea who, where, or why. They just knew it was coming in. Ain't that interesting? So that just tells us, as the group we all know as the Men in Black, which isn't a big group, but they're holding on to a lot of technology.
See you, Miss.
They're holding on to a lot of technology, or at least as much as because when I was telling them about Mill Labs, they all looked at me like, "What are you talking about?" I said, "Military abduction." He said, "Military don't abduct citizens." I'm like, "Oh, yes, they do." And he said, "No," I said, "I'll prove it to you." We got into a big, deep, nasty conversation about that before I had to go to lunch. And when I came back, the guy's like, I said, "Did you see the damn machine? Tell I was lying." He's like, "I don't understand that." I said, "Military abductions are a real thing." I said, "It's a false name to say military." I said, "Because you people sitting here aren't the ones doing it. But I can tell you it's ex-military, ex-Boeing, ex-Lockheed, some people from overseas and their ex things."
Could be
I
even
said,
some ex-Wackenhut as well who do.
Yeah, could be. You can't. So I said, they don't have a lot. They don't have a bunch of stuff, but they've got technology that they've gleaned either from ET or from ET crash or something along those lines.
Or gifts from guys, far away, visitors
Yes.
from afar.
Whatever it is, it's not ours. That's all I can say. And then the one guy said, yeah. Well, the one guy said, I have seen some new technology lately that made me wonder if we didn't have something coming in from somewhere else. And I said, well, we do. I said, personally, I've only seen little bits and pieces, and I said, but it's gleam. But whatever it comes from, wherever we got it from.
I know that we were gifted, and I think it was from Charles Hall's Tall Whites. I
think we got a lot from them.
Yeah, they've given us a lot. I think mostly medical technology, but they've given us laser scalpels that they now use quite extensively for getting into and out of the human body.
Oh, and that's another thing. Before we leave, I brought them up, right? And he said, what? I said, yeah, they're in Area 54. And he's like, what? There's nothing out there.
You look on the map, there's nothing there.
And I'm like, well, and I said, don't take this the wrong way because I don't want to go to jail, but you're a dumbass. I said, you don't even know it's on your own bases. I said, if I was you, with all these stars I see up in here, I would start inventorying your bases. Yeah. And the one guy looked at me, he said, you know what? That's a bleeping good idea. They don't have no idea that. I'm thinking, how can you not know about the Tall Whites? I mean, it's not even that secret. I mean, really, it's.
They are escorted to Las Vegas and Reno to.
I know.
On a regular basis.
And they make regular flights in and out of that area. Somebody got to see them. So that's just telling me who's ever in control isn't sharing the way they're supposed to. Which I tell you what, I think I may have effed up because I think I may have got some other people in trouble because now they're kind of like, what the bleep is going on? This is some bullshit. Guys and girls, I wanted to talk into that false flag thing, but we're not going to have time because Michelle's on now. Be sure to catch Michelle DeRoche. She's on. I think her guest is Sean Kelly or some guy, some weirdo or something she's talking about now.
Yeah, me.
Yeah, I actually knew her guest and then I forgot just now, but be sure to check her out. She's really good. She has a good show on. Go see what she's up to. We've got to go. I want to thank everyone for tuning in to United Public Radio and UFO Undercover. You've gotten information here tonight you're not going to see, find, or hear in anybody else in the whole entire ufology community. And I will tell you one more time before we leave. When I was talking to these guys and I brought up the ufology community, I got like a Klingon belly laugh. I'm not shitting you. I mean, there is no these guys laughed at me like keep believing that shit. Anyway, on that note, good night and stay tuned for The Outer Realm with Michelle DeRoche. Please don't